The very first thing I want to talk to you about is all of your Halloween stuff, of course, because it's Halloween month, basically. It's been Halloween month for the last 2 months.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like as soon as September hits, like it's spooky season.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
100%.
Hi, everyone. Well,
Hi.
welcome to Yarn Geek and Friends. Today we have Tori, the Dark and Twisty housewife, all the way over from Instagram to talk about all of the awesome stuff that she has going on. Well, this month, but all the time too.
I love getting to get things ready for Halloween. So like I like doing the horror bags, because I'm sure a lot of people are like me, and whenever horror movies start coming on TV, you're like, oh, I haven't seen this one in a while. I'm gonna watch this one. So you gotta have the horror movie marathon every night. And they always have new spooky movies coming out for Halloween. So I've been doing the bags. I've been trying to get horror bags out pretty consistently. So that way you can have bags to go to your like favorite horror movie, or shoot, use them as a trick or treat bag.
Oh, yeah. And that's one of the things that I've been following you for years on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And you just come up with the most crazy, spookiest things. I think, like, I can't even name them all. You've got Beetlejuice, and you've got some slasher stuff, and you've got
Mm-hmm.
like the It, and the guy with the little, what's his name on Saw?
Oh, Saw Jigsaw.
Yeah.
Yes. And I've got Ghostface. There's a Lizzie Borden bag because I've actually always wanted to go to the Lizzie Borden house in Massachusetts. Um, and if anybody doesn't know about that, you should totally look that up on like true crime stuff. It's wild. I have those. I've got Midsommar. That one of those movies that I just stumbled across, and I was like, wow, this is a really messed up horror movie, but I really like it.
And
So
what's it called?
um
We're gonna have to watch it.
it's it's really good. It definitely will throw you for a loop. I always appreciate a movie that'll throw me for a loop at the end where I can't guess the ending.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely like that. So Jason, that's the other one.
Okay. Yeah, Jason, you can't forget that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love that. Which one was it? And I'm gonna be posting, whenever I go through and edit this, I'm gonna
Mhm.
be putting pictures of all these bags and stuff so people know what we're talking about.
Awesome.
Because, you gotta have pictures with the words, right? But
Oh, definitely.
so, yeah,
Yep.
I think my favorite picture of yours when I first saw it was you when you're, like, levitating on the bed.
Oh God, yes, The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Like the best horror movie there is. Totally leaving that one out. Wow.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, totally, totally frightening. But your frightening things that you make are fun too. And got to tell everybody that along with all the scary, frightening stuff, you've got like such cool that rainbow, the Furls
Mhm.
rainbow blanket, pride blanket
Mhm.
that you made a couple years ago was really cool. And
Thank you.
you've got all sorts of other designs, and of course I'll be showing some
Oh,
pictures.
oh,
But
certainly. I definitely anytime I can do color work, I really like it. Eclair Makery. Um I did my first tapestry pattern with her. It was a pattern test and I just fell in love with it. I was like, "Oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever." So now that's the primary thing I do is either chunky stuff or some kind of tapestry pattern. The Zodiac blanket, that was also really fun. I really liked getting to do that one.
I still want to make that. And I got so inspired by your Zodiac blanket that I made one of my own, but I like made graph, and I don't think I posted it a whole lot, but it was one of the Hobie things, and they sent me
Mhm.
some yarn, and I've got every single picture of the astrology people. Yeah, I'll send you a picture of it when we're done
Oh,
here.
yeah, yeah, definitely. That's amazing. Super
Yeah,
cool.
it is really cool. And like, okay, I want to know about this. I am terrible at writing patterns, like doing tutorials and patterns. And I want to know about how you, well, everything about how you started crocheting and the process you go through when you get an idea, like a design in your head, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I got to make this. And then the whole pattern, everything about
Okay.
that.
Yeah, definitely. So I started crocheting. My great grandma taught me whenever I was like 6, and I learned on some yarn that will still haunt me to this day. But I learned on red colored yarn, which is why you
Mhm.
don't really see a whole lot of red in anything that I make unless it's like it has to be in there because I just don't like working with red yarn anymore. Um, but I learned from her, and then I kind of went off the beaten path for a while, and then I had another friend who ended up like picking up. She also crocheted. Was like, hey, if you got any questions or anything, I can help with those. I was like, okay, that's awesome. And my husband and I ended up having to move for his work, and I was kind of stuck at home all day working from home. Had nothing really to do because he had to work all the time. So I was like, I'm just going to start crocheting again, and I'm going to start making patterns for all the stuff that I'm making. So that's kind of how that started. As far as designing patterns and stuff, tapestry patterns are a whole lot easier for me to design. To be honest, Stitch Fiddle does a lot of the work for me. Whole lot of the work for me. Um, I still use like InDesign for using like making the template and everything for patterns, and I always try to coordinate with what I'm making. And then as far as actually getting pictures for stuff, that's kind of where the struggle is because then I have to make sure that they're sized correctly
Sure.
for whenever I upload them and trying to tweak them to where you can actually tell what it is, and it's not just here's this random blob, but I said it's this.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to make it kind of jump out and be like, there, it's a whole science. Taking
Yes.
pictures to post on social medias, it's a whole other thing other
Oh
than
yeah, trying to
crochet.
get it like resized and everything, and then being like, okay, I think if it's this size, it'll work if I put it in here, and I can kind of tweak everything. And then sometimes it works, and sometimes my idea that I have is awesome, but I'm gonna have to make something that's like king size blanket size to make it work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I know.
that
Or
that happens a lot.
the worst is whenever it's like too too small or whatever, then it looks all pixelated and everything like that. It's like, no, that's not how I wanted it to be.
Oh, yes. And then especially whenever you're trying to work it up and you're like, "Oh, I don't know if this is gonna work." And then you have to do quite a bit like of the pattern to really like kind of get a picture of it. Like you're not gonna be able to know after like 3 rows if, oh,
No.
this is the great size. Yeah. You
Yeah.
know, it
Yeah,
doesn't work like that because it doesn't look like anything at 3 rows. You can't judge it by that.
right. You got to put some time into it.
Yeah. And then hope for the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
So
when you first started crocheting, were you did you have like the Halloween or like the more gothy stuff in mind, or were you just crocheting anything and everything?
I was crocheting anything and everything. I always like to be a little bit different. One of the things that made me start actually writing down my patterns was I always liked working with like the bulky yarn
Mhm.
or like the bulky or the super bulky. And finding patterns for bulky and super bulky was super hard unless it was just something like I mean anyone who's worked with that kind of yarn knows you can't really use super intricate lace stitches or anything with it at all. It just doesn't work. So I just started being like, well, let me just try and make my own design since I can't find what I'm looking for in my head. So I guess that's kind of really what started it was trying to find some chunky patterns and really find a whole lot.
Which, by the way, I love your chunky patterns. You came out with a lot of like bobble type kind of stuff. I love that. And then one year, I think it was around Christmas time, I won a giveaway that you had,
Mhm.
and you had some patterns and stuff in there, and there was a cowl that I really
Oh,
love in that. Yeah. What was
the
the name?
Sagittarius, it's, like, just all baubles.
Yes.
Yeah,
That
I love that.
is absolutely amazing.
If I can't do a tapestry design, I want some texture with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, you've got some great texture.
Thank
And
you.
so what was the very first like Halloween type kind of thing that you were like, I've got to make that.
Mm.
I've got this is in my head. It's got to be in the yarn now.
Honestly, I think it was my ghost face bag.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I was just like, I really want something for spooky season. I have there's somebody I know who does a lot of like really cool crafty stuff that's like goth, creepy Halloween based stuff. And I'm like, I want to be able to do something. I'm sure there's something I can do with crocheting. And I ended up making the ghost face bag and I was like, oh, this is really cool. Okay, I think I could do this. And my friend Anastasia,
Mhm,
the Real Journey Chanel designs,
mhm.
she was like, "Why don't you do your cosplay with it? Like, why don't you do your cosplay with like your crochet stuff?" And then I started doing it, and I was like, "I don't know why I didn't think to do this before."
That was a genius idea. But
Yeah.
because you guys, I'm going to be posting some pictures. I'm going to be adding some pictures in here, but you take the best pictures with all, it turns all of your stuff into like definitely Halloween apparel because you can take this out trick or treating. I love the it balloon when you're out walking. There's a
I got so drenched that day.
I can't even imagine. I bet.
There was this we had been my husband is normally my photographer for stuff. And we had I'd had the bag done, I had the coat and everything, and we were hoping it was going to rain because the pictures aren't really going to look right if it's bright and sunny out for
Right.
it. So it ended up pouring, absolutely pouring rain, and we were like, let's just go outside, let's just take them, it'll be all right. I had to leave the bag sitting out to dry for but they ended up turning out okay, but
Oh,
it was really fun.
yeah. Yeah, they ended up turning out great. So,
You.
um yeah, so what here I've got some let's see. Oh, yeah, what so when did you come up with your name Dark and Twisty Housewife? Because I think that's the thing that first, when I first saw you on
Mhm.
Instagram, I was like, "Oh, that's different. That's not that's not a crochet lady name."
Nope. Nope. Um, so I'm sure a lot of people have watched Grey's Anatomy,
Mhm.
and they know about Meredith, and she always referred to herself as Dark and Twisty. And I was like, yeah, I really relate with that. That's me. Ever since I watched that show, that's kind of how I was. I was like, I'm dark and twisty too. And the housewife part was, I several people had said that I would make a good housewife because like I bake, I cook, I crochet. I jokingly say that I have the most granny hobbies of anyone I know. So it just kind of merged together. I was like, well, I could be the dark and twisty housewife, not I'll be the cool grandma if I'm going to be a grandma.
Sure, you're the Dark and Twisty whole package housewife.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, going kind of off on an aside, the cool grandma, I'm still trying to be that to my grandkids. The verdict is still pending.
I'm sure you are the coolest grandma. Don't let them tell you otherwise.
Sometimes they're like, just stop. No, grandma, we don't want another sweater.
No! Oh my goodness. If my grandma could crochet, I would have all the sweaters. Like I'm the one who gets all the crochet stuff like like previous like great grandmas and stuff have had. I'm like, can I please have
Yeah.
the blanket? Like, can I just have it? It'll just be displayed with everything else that's crocheted in this house.
Because it's not just a blanket. It's like your grandma spent hours and hours and hours of
Exactly.
love into this blanket because the whole time she was crocheting it, she wasn't thinking, you know, about anything else other than I love my kids,
Yeah,
or what am I making for
exactly.
dinner?
Yeah, 100%. So,
So, yeah, I learned to crochet from my grandma, and she doesn't
awesome.
crochet anymore, but just it's just that whole feeling, I think. It's a craft with a purpose. It's a craft with emotions in it. I think that's why we love it so
I love
much.
that. I love that. That's awesome. I definitely would have to agree with you. Some of the things that I've made for like family, like I always tried to make like some little thing for Christmas,
Yeah.
and several things that I've made, they still like reuse them. I made um stocking gift card holders one year, and they use those now as like Christmas decorations,
Oh,
like in the tree.
I love that. Do you have any designs that, like, maybe that are on your website or whatever that are, like, good for I'm definitely coming up for Halloween, but, like, for Christmas and if, in case we wanna start thinking ahead for that?
So I do have it would be cutting it a little bit close, but I do have a blanket pattern. It's the Yuletide throw.
Cool.
And it's like it's the like classic Christmas print on there. So
Mm.
that's really cool. As far as like little gift giving things, like I've got a couple of coaster patterns on there. I always end up getting really good reception for like mug rugs and stuff because everybody can use a mug rug. It's one of those things you can give just about anybody and they're going to be like, that's so cool because you can use it. Dishcloths, that's the other thing. I give that to, yeah, my family
Oh,
loves those. Whenever I give
okay.
them those in Christmas, like just little stocking stuffers. Those are the kind of things like for more of the Christmas holiday, those are the things that I do have as far as patterns go.
Yeah. Okay, great. And we can find all your patterns over
Yep,
on your website.
yep,
And do you have Ravelry
I
or
do.
okay, you got Ravelry.
hmm
That's right. I think I
I've got
cancel.
Ravelry. I've got yeah, I've got Etsy. And then yeah, I've got my website too.
Okay, well, we'll put all the links down below for
Thank
you
you.
so everybody can find you for
Thank
sure.
you.
Yeah, the thing that I love about the tapestry, like mug
Mhm.
rugs and things too, is that it's not just limited to, oh, I have to use it for a mug rug. Like you can turn
Yes.
it into a bag. You can put a bunch of the coasters together and make a
Yes.
what blanket, whatever. You can use your imagination. They're like little imagination blocks, I think.
Oh, I love that. That is a really good explanation. Yes, 100%.
Yeah, it's I've been going down the I'm not even going to start bringing up all this stuff because then it would just turn into a yarn geek show and tell. We're not gonna do
No,
this.
no, I totally can understand. I'm sure. Oh my God, that's adorable.
I just find these little graphs off of
Mhm.
Pinterest and I'm like, okay, as long as I have the graph, I don't have to read anything. I can just,
Oh yeah.
you can just sit there with your yarn.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I love about your bags.
Mhm.
It's like, oh my gosh, I can have a spooky Halloween bag tonight.
Oh, yes. And I always try to put like links and stuff where you can get like different bag handles and stuff too because I know
Yeah.
that's always like a struggle whenever you are making a bag. Like I personally I'm not the biggest fan of crochet handles. Everybody has
I'm
their
not.
own feel about it. It's just not my cup of tea personally,
Mhm.
but I always like struggled finding like the kind of handle that I was looking for. So I found a bunch on Amazon and normally I try to like link something to them or there's links in my bio and on
Mhm.
my Instagram to like I actually have like 4 purses. I have like a handbag um list on Amazon of like, these are the ones that I've used. These were
Ooh.
great. These will be fantastic.
That is very good to know because that is one of my pain points is finding handles for bags because every time I try to crochet one, it's like, how do I crochet this to make it look like it's not crocheted? Or, you know,
Yes.
or make it not stretch.
100%. The only way I have found that I did like it was with my Midsummer bag. I did a cord, like, I did cording and I
Mhm.
crocheted that. My hands wanted to fall off afterwards,
I
but
bet.
I did that and it looked really good. But that's the only way I have found to do it
Yeah.
is with cording.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm going to be checking out your Amazon list of the handles because I need them. I've got so many bags started
Mhm.
that um that I really just need handles for that have just been sitting there languishing in the whip pile.
Oh my goodness. I totally can understand. I just anything you can get that like helps you move forward because I mean I definitely have the pit of doom of projects that are just kind of sitting there that they're just sitting there slowly dying. They're not getting done.
It's crazy, but you can't say, okay, I'm just going to put all this stuff in a bin and take it to Goodwill and maybe somebody else can use this yarn because it's like,
No.
no, because I am going to be I'm going to be finishing this.
Because then it's also like I don't want to give anybody my half finished project either.
No.
Like I'm embarrassed. Like, don't look at my half finished project. Like, wait, no. We'll look at donating after it's a finished thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I've started okay, I know this is going down a huge rabbit hole, but we got to talk yarn stash, how you organize your yarn stash, and how you organize your whips.
Oh, so I am currently not at home, as you know.
Right.
So I have a giant wall of yarn. It doesn't get used as much. That's honestly that's more for aesthetic or yeah, yeah. It doesn't get used a whole lot. If I do end up pulling things out of it, I 100% like go and replenish them because I'm like I can't have just like you can't have giant holes or anything in it. But I have cubbies. I have
Mhm.
cubbies normally. Yarn that I don't tend to use very often, but like I just like to have around for if I do want some like super quick project to do. Um, that's normally in totes in my
Mhm.
guest room.
That's
So
good.
that's
So
sorry, that's kind of
now,
yarn.
now do you still, I remember one time you were building this thing that was it with the pegs
Hmm.
and with the yarn like displayed. Do you still have that up? Because I love that. I keep saying I'm going to do that, but I've
Oh
never
yeah,
done.
that's my giant yarn wall. That's how mine looks. Is that it's the big pegboard and it's just like them essentially like respun most of them and just like put there in a giant
Yeah.
rainbow.
Yeah, it's beautiful. You guys,
Thank you.
I'm showing the picture right now so you so everybody out there can see it. Um yeah, where did you get the idea for that? Because that's so cool.
Pinterest.
Pinterest.
Pinterest is the best thing ever. Pinterest is like a crafter's dream.
It is, and it's so I mean, it's a blessing and it's a curse because
Yes.
I get stuck in there and get so many great ideas
Yes.
that it's like there's no time in the world to do all of these awesome ideas.
Yes, 100%. I always look at stuff and I'm like, oh, I really want to make that and I want to make that. And I have this like long list of things of like things I want to make or things that have like inspired me to like create
Sure.
something else like entirely. But yeah, it's a never grow. It's like my to be read list on Audible.
Oh
It's
yeah.
never ending.
Yeah, and it's always growing, never ending,
Yes,
always growing. So
always.
is there any like spooky theme thing that you haven't made yet that you're like, I really need to make that? Like I need to make that character.
I definitely need to finish my Halloween bag.
Ooh,
Of
yeah.
all of the horror movies, I've not finished the Halloween one, and I was going to, but it's like 6 or 7 different colors of yarn and trying to transport that
Hmm.
during my trip. Anyone who has picked up a tapestry project and moved it from one place to another and then trying to, yeah, it just sounded terrible. So that's something that will end up getting finished. Um, that's
When you
probably
have
my biggest one. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to say when people, yeah, for those of you who don't know, transporting a tapestry project can be a living nightmare because like 99% of the time it's going to turn into a big tangled ball of mess by the time you finish packing it up, taking it out, because you'll have 6 or 7, 8, 9, 10 different colors hanging off of it.
Yes. And then trying to like refix your back afterwards too, like just trying to make
Mhm.
sure that everything isn't like, yeah. Goodness forbid if you put your hook in there too, like just holding your place.
Yeah. It's a process.
Yeah. So I didn't want to do that because I was like, I don't want to deal with that nightmare.
No, no, that would be, well, I mean, I guess it'd be appropriate for a Halloween themed bag to have a nightmare,
I mean, this is very true.
a
This is very
nightmare
true.
project.
And I'm definitely doing it in the like pink theme. I like whenever I do them kind of more of like a cutesy version. Like
Yeah,
it's still the same like gory whatever, but I don't know, throwing some pink on it makes it a little bit less intimidating, I think.
yeah, like, doesn't what's the Jigsaw guy have
Mhm.
pink in his cheeks?
Yep, yep. I totally did that one in all pink. I was like, I could go this route with it, or I could go this route and it's not going to be as creepy. I was like, I think we'll go this route. The
Yeah,
pink is a little less off-putting.
but, if people wanted to go ahead and just make it creepy, they
Yeah.
could leave the pink off.
Oh, 100%. I definitely, a couple of my testers did like the actual colors, and I
Right.
was like, that's really cool. That's really creepy, but that's really cool.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
perfect
yeah.
for Halloween.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So when you started out, like when you started out making designs and everything like that, who were the people that influenced you? Like who did you look at and see, "Oh my gosh, I love
So,
their stuff."
oh, definitely, my biggest one was the Hook Nook.
Mhm.
I ended up getting to have the pleasure of working with Jessica Carey, on a few things, um, making a few patterns for her, using her yarn, getting to promote her
Mhm.
yarn and everything. She was definitely one of my biggest. I want to be her when I grow up.
That's so cool.
That it was yeah. She's definitely always been like one of my biggest. That's the level. That's the goal.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's always seemed like a really neat person, like really nice, really sweet
She
person.
definitely is. I've never met her in person,
Mhm.
but I definitely had a few like chats and everything with her, and
Yeah.
she was always super incredibly nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. It's always so nice when people that you like aspire to be like or do some of their things are just a good person.
Oh, 100%. And then, also like yourself, I always appreciated any time I got to talk to you or anything like via
Mhm.
like, any kind of Instagram chats or anything. Like you were always one of those people that I was like, she's super nice, really accommodating for anything. I always appreciate getting to speak with people like that.
Yeah,
Honestly, I haven't had a whole lot of people who haven't been like that I've talked to in this
sure.
in this industry, which is always good.
And that's the thing about the crochet community that you like rarely find a mean crochet person,
Yeah.
which I'm so happy for because that would be kind of devastating.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you ever have questions about something, most everybody is more than happy to be like, "Oh, yeah, so if you wanna, what program I use for making patterns, it's InDesign."
Mhm.
I ended up getting that information from a designer because I
Yeah.
saw her patterns and I was like, this is the prettiest pattern I've ever seen in my life. How do you do
Right.
this? And she ended up letting me know, like, she uses InDesign for all of her products,
Mhm.
like inputting everything. So that was that was probably one of the most helpful tips that I got.
Yeah, that's I got now InDesign, I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to look that up and check it out. I'm gonna have to use that. Um,
Definitely watch some tutorials because I thought that I could figure it out without watching some tutorials, and that went down south really quickly. So I definitely recommend watching some tutorials because it's like jumping into Photoshop with no light
oh
wrap.
god. I still have not and this is what happened. I tried and tried to figure out Photoshop on my own, and
Mhm.
then by the time I got to the tutorials, my head was so twisted about it that I was like, "I cannot take looking at another Photoshop thing." So, I asked, it was when I was first making my YouTube videos, and I asked if anybody knew just a good app, an editing app, and another crocheter told me, "Try InShot." And so
Oh,
now
nice.
I try it, I edit everything with it. It's like the
That's
most
awesome.
simple, yeah, easiest app. So,
That's really cool. Love that.
yeah,
I've
yeah,
definitely used it. It's really user friendly. Anytime you
and
can get anything like that, it's great.
absolutely, and it just came out with captions. So they're always adding, always adding new stuff to it. It's grown so much
That's
that
really cool.
yeah, yeah. So,
Love that.
how do you keep up with crochet trends? Like when you're thinking of a do you like see what other people are doing or you're just like, "You know what? I'm going to be the trend starter and I'm just going to make what I want to and everybody else can everybody else can be terrified of it or love it."
Yes. Um, so for me, I see all the trends of like things people are making. I just barely recently started doing clothes.
Mhm.
So the whole like most of the trends that I see, they tend to be clothes like around clothes or any kind of garment of some kind, and I haven't been making any. So I just kind of ignored it and I was like, I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm just gonna sit over here in horror crochet land and just make spooky stuff. Um, so now I'm trying to semi incorporate that into garments or at least make, some kind of unique things with garments and tapestry crochet. Um, Not everything is turning out how I want, but trial and error, as we
That's
all know.
right.
But I really like the trends that do start, but I'm definitely not a trend starter. I am definitely not a trend follower in things I make just because I've been so far outside of the box of it with my horror crochet that I'm like, well,
Yeah,
I will cheer on everybody who is doing this. That is amazing. But it is just not normally my expertise.
right, right. You want to just have fun with it and be like,
Yeah,
this is what is in my heart right now.
pretty much. I'm very much so, if I don't want to make it, I'm probably not going to make it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, what is your favorite like yarn and crochet hooks to use like when you're making your projects? I know one. I think it's the hooks.
Yes. I have not used another crochet hook in, I think, 3 years. I have never used anything
Wow.
other than a furls hook.
Furls are
Furls is my jam. Furls was the first affiliated company who took me on and took a chance with me whenever I was like super new at doing this.
Mhm.
And they took me on as an affiliate, and I was floored. And I only used their hooks because I 100% believe in their hooks. They help
Mhm.
my hands significantly because my day job, I type all day.
Oh, wow.
So I'm constantly using my hands. So anything that I can do to help relieve where I'm not
Yeah.
basically double dipping in pain essentially. So they always work. really well. As far as yarn goes,
So
that is a
many.
hard question. Yeah, there's so many.
Like what? Wait a minute. What mood? What for? What
Yeah.
mood?
Um, okay, my favorite cotton yarn is I really like Lily's Sugar and Cream. I really do. Their
It's
cotton
just
yarn is so good for bags.
it's a good basic workhorse yarn that you know it's not going to stretch a whole lot. When you wash it, you know pretty much how much it's going to shrink.
Yes.
It does not disappoint. I
No,
Yeah,
definitely for any of the bags. I always try to go that route first because especially with bags, I don't want any kind of like any extra shrinkage
right.
or I want the thing to be heavy duty.
Yeah.
Um, lighter things, um, 24/7 cotton Lion
Mhm.
brand is always super nice. I really like it too. My favorite chunky yarns, also Lions brand, and they have the re-up yarn and like any of their recycled yarn. Oh my goodness, their recycled polyester yarn is the best thing ever. It's amazing.
It's so soft. It's like you wouldn't expect it to be this. It feels kind of like a very high quality yarn. You know,
Yes.
when you're using it, it's just so soft and nice and it's got a little heaviness to it too.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not like it's not it's heavy, but it's not stiff heavy.
Right.
It has just that little bit of drape on it to where
Mhm.
it's just so squishy. It's
Yeah.
great. That's what I make all my hats in. Um, as far as anything else, I love the shine yarn from We Crochet too. I really like
Mhm.
it. And their Brava yarn is amazing for blankets.
I need to get some. I have surprisingly, I've never used it before. I just need to. In fact, I think I ordered some, but I never used it yet.
Oh, it's so soft and it washes so well.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, it washes really well and I like using it for blankets because you can
Mhm.
make a really pretty blanket because they've got so many colors
Yeah.
and it's super like it's high quality and it's a very low price, so you don't
Mhm.
break the bank making a blanket.
Right. Right. Because there's a lot of yarn that goes into a blanket.
Yes, 100. Oh goodness, yeah. The
Yeah.
some of them that I've done, like whenever I'm like writing out the yarn and everything on the pattern for the blanket, I'm like, is that
Mhm.
right? That seems insane.
Yeah, it's gonna take what, 23 skeins of heavyweight wool. What?
Yeah. Oh my goodness, yes. It's crazy. Um, those are the main ones that I really use. Oh, and the Wonder Yarn by Furls. I really like the
Oh,
Wonder Yarn by Furls. It's
love
so soft.
I love that. I love all the colors they've come out with. Just everything about it. I just love it. I made when I was testing that pattern for you, the
Mhm.
pride blanket, I ran out of yarn. I was like, I completely underestimated how much it was gonna take.
Oh no.
I know, but yeah, and then so I started making it again in Lion Brand, and I was like,
Mhm.
you know what? Now I've got two beautiful whips here, and I just need to order some more yarn because I ran out of that. Speaking of blanket
Oh goodness.
quantities, um,
Oh, definitely. I have done that more times than I can count, and now I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna order like an obscene amount. If it takes this much yarn, then I need to rethink my strategy on the project I'm But
exactly.
uh,
But but
it's
then
I
you
always try to make sure I have more.
that's what I'm learning also because I don't know. Have you ever done this when you go into a yarn store or
Mhm,
you go to order online, you see they have a new yarn. So
mhm.
it's like, well, I want to try out the yarn, but I don't know what color I want. So I guess I'm going to have to order one or two of every new color.
Yes, yes, all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, which is the reason.
Yep. I will definitely do that. And I'm like, well, I can use it as accent colors, and I I have so many whites, creams, and like any shade on that side. I have
Uh-huh.
so many of those that I'm like, I can just use this like random other color as like an accent with the white or the cream or the
Sure.
bone color, whatever. So
I know
I
what
try
you
to
mean.
justify it.
I know what you mean about the like the whites. I have a rainbow of whites going
Mhm.
because you go from the whitest white to maybe like the yellowest white. So you got to have, and there's all the shades in between. I have a whole one of those 9 cube shelves
Mhm.
just with white.
That's awesome. Because I mean, personally, do you use the like stark white on a lot of things, or is it normally an off white?
It's normally some kind of off white,
Same.
but
I
I have gotten the stark white before just in case I need it.
mhm. Same. It's not my go-to, especially for like a
No.
whole bag. I'm like, I would rather have like an off-white or like an eggshell color
Yeah.
instead of stark white. I shouldn't be trusted around stark white anyways. I Most of my t-shirts are not white either because they're not going to stay white.
Right. They are absolutely not going to stay white.
Nothing's going to. Not at all.
No, no. And like occasionally I've spilled my coffee on my white yarn. So,
Yep.
oh,
Done
are
that
you?
more times than I can count, and then you're like, really? What do I do now?
Oh, I guess this will just to be a good variegated yarn. Just dump the rest of the coffee.
Yep. Oh my goodness. I've thought about that before. I'm like, well, that's basically ruined. Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, we'll just turn it into a coffee and cream. I think about that sometimes when, the the furls, coffee swirl crochet
Mhm.
hook. I was like, oh, that would be pretty as a yarn.
Oh, yes, it would be. That would be
Oh,
really pretty if they did make a variegated yarn like that.
that would be pretty. Furls doesn't have any variegated yarns, do they?
Not as of right now.
Not as I'm sure they will at some point in time.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be really great.
yeah, for sure. So, okay, this is a huge one. This is one of the things that is so important to me, and I'm always striving for. How do you balance your time between crocheting, designing, and you said you work full time, a full time job? That's amazing to me. Putting out content, pictures and reels. How do you balance it all?
I try to make a really good schedule.
Mhm.
I just try to be flexible, and I definitely try to keep the mentality of I cannot control the world. Things end up coming up. So
Yeah.
if it does, we'll just kind of roll with the punches because again, I can't control the world. I can't control everything, but luckily my job, I do work 40 hours a week, but I have made it to where I work 4 10s. So that way I have 3 days off.
Oh.
So I can balance that a lot better with everything else. So like with crocheting, with like going and getting pictures, designing. I normally set aside 1 day of the week if I'm going to get pictures. I'll
Mhm.
go get pictures that day. That means I'll be editing that evening, and then I'll start putting that into the actual like pattern itself. And then I'll normally work on a pattern the next week, like all the typing and everything for it.
Mhm. Wow, that's amazing. You've got some good organizational skills. Great.
And honestly, the as far as like working on stuff, now I'm really great at working on things because I'm constantly listening to audiobooks. So
Oh,
I get to crochet if I'm listening to my audiobook. So
absolutely. So, what are your favorite audiobooks? Because I'm huge. Like my Audible, I've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of audiobooks.
definitely. Um, so my all-time favorite series, I'm sure a couple of people have noticed on my Instagram, it's the From Blood and Ash series. I'm thoroughly obsessed with it. It's so good. I'm even wearing a necklace I got from Bookish Box from it.
Oh,
That's my favorite. There's 6 books out now, I think. Yeah. And then there's like a prequel series, so there's a whole bunch. The Court of Thorns and Roses, that's my other favorite.
mhm.
They have a dramatized version of it now. I don't
Oh,
know
that
if you put like I don't know if you've done one of the dramatized versions on Audible. It's really cool and I highly recommend it. It was amazing.
oh, yeah, I've listened because a lot of those you get in the free, like, free with the membership and everything.
Mhm.
You get but, if you wanna get exactly what you want, you gotta order it, but that's
Yeah.
okay. Now, what's the Blood and Ashes one? Because that's
It's
who's the
um
author?
it's definitely fantasy and romance. Some spice sprinkled in. 'Cause everybody needs a little bit of spice. The Court of Thorns and Roses one also a little bit of spice sprinkled in. Um, I definitely am all the time on like book talk and all
Yeah,
like the far side of book talk and everything. Definitely have read most of the typical romance books and everything that a lot of people have read, and I'm sure a lot of people know what I'm talking about.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
sure.
but the From Blood and Ash, it's a fantasy romance,
Mhm.
and it's about a girl who is basically kept in a cage her whole life, and someone comes, it's not a literal cage
Right.
exactly, but someone comes and basically shakes her whole life up and uproots everything that she ever knew, and it ends up being a good thing.
Well, that sounds and how many books are in the series? I love series.
Oh, there's 6
Mhm.
currently, and, there's a prequel series as well.
Mhm.
There is 2, and there's one coming out on the 31st, which I have pre-ordered,
Ooh.
and,
Of
um,
course.
okay, since you're an Audible fan, do you have favorite narrators?
I do. Oh my gosh. I love what's his name's Bray, RC Bray. I love RC Bray.
Yes.
He is the whole Mountain Man series. I'm a zombie. Like I like zombie. Hey, we're running from zombies. They're eating us. I love
That's awesome. That's
those are,
amazing.
I think I've pretty much listened to every zombie audiobook and Ray Porter. I love him.
Oh, yes.
He's amazing. Who are some of your favorite audiobook readers?
Stina Nielsen has my heart and
Mhm.
soul. Stina Nielsen, it's yeah, I could listen to her all day long.
Yeah.
Teddy Hamilton is one of the other ones.
Ooh.
He just has a really good voice that just like sucks you in, and you're like,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm definitely invested in whatever I'm reading. It doesn't even really matter at this point.
It's a talent. Like it is like you can't just take a normal person and say, "Here, read this
No,
audiobook." They and the ones that do that. Did you ever listen to the Outlander series?
I did not. I've heard so many good things, and then I look at like the length of all the books and I'm like, look, my books are really long. They're pretty long. They're not this level of long. And I'm like, that is a commitment to do this.
Yeah, it's like, "Oh, 63 hours? This audiobook? Really?"
Yeah, the closest I've ever come to that was like I think it's I think it's 50 something.
Oh,
But
yeah.
there's a Stephen King book. But yeah, that was the closest I've come to that.
Yeah. Yeah, love the Stephen King books. Did you ever listen to The Stand?
Yeah, it was that one.
Oh, is that one?
It was
Yeah.
The Stand. I love The Stand.
Yeah, for sure, and you know what? The one version of The Stand that I did not like was the
Mhm.
'90s miniseries that was made for TV. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but for some reason, they just got the casting all wrong.
I haven't
I
watched that one. I haven't watched the newer one either. I saw clips of stuff and I'm like, you know what? I don't think anybody's gonna do this correctly.
no.
Um I Oh, that was another bag I made was The Shining.
Oh,
I read the book and then I watched the movie, and that was a horrible idea. I definitely should have watched the movie and then read the book, because I was
Right.
sitting there and I was like, this is not a Stephen King movie.
No, I've always been very, very disappointed when I've read Stephen King books first
Yes.
and watched the movie because it's like, no.
I think the only one I never really felt like that was The Green Mile, and I'm like, you couldn't really get that one wrong though.
Yeah. That they
But
okay, they did do that one good, and I thought they did an okay job on Christine.
oh yeah. Oh, and Misery.
Oh, Mr. Man.
Oh yes. I mean,
That
but I mean, you've got Kathy Bates in there, so
oh my yeah, and who is the guy? Ed Harris?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's right up there with movies that make men squirm. Right up there with Fatal Attraction.
Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness. Definitely agree.
That was I watched when I watched Fatal Attraction at the movie theater when it first came out, and I was sitting with my dad in the movie theater, and my my dad was like, I remember I had my arm on the armrest, and he puts his hand over on mine and just starts squeezing, whenever the pot is boiling.
Yeah.
he
Yep. Yep.
he
Oh,
awful. I hope that everybody knows what we're talking about.
yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. It's nice to have that in there a little bit every, making men squirm occasionally. It's
Oh
not the
my
worst
gosh.
thing. But
Yeah, no. Yeah, the thing that I love about audiobooks, just not only about listening to them and everything, but when you
Mhm.
find out what like another person reads, or that kind of stuff, it's like, oh, I know a little bit more about you now.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. You can
It's
anybody's TBR list, or like if you have Goodreads and you have like that list that you're constantly making on Goodreads of like, ooh,
Mhm.
I want to read this, or I want to read this. Like if you start swapping books with people, it's
Mhm.
you definitely learn a ton about them. And then you might find people that have your exact taste in books that you had no idea.
Right. You're like, oh, now I think I like you more now because I know
Yeah,
what you read.
definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Um, so what is the best advice you've ever received as far as your crochet business, things like that, um, when you were first getting started, or maybe when you got in, and that kind of helped push you forward a little?
Um, Definitely, you can always ask. And I ended up actually kind of building on that, and that was actually something that my husband ended up telling me. He's like, "You can always ask people." And I
Mhm.
ended up building on that to basically be my mantra for just about everything. And I mean, you can ask for anything. The worst anybody can ever tell you is no. Like they're not going to take your crochet hook away or anything. So why not ask?
Yeah.
If you want
Yeah.
that opportunity, go ahead and ask whoever you need to get a hold of. What's the worst that could happen? They're going to say no.
Mhm.
Okay, you know what? Reevaluate, and you can always ask again later.
Mhm. Yep, that's right. And I think a lot of that, it's just fear when you don't ask.
Mhm.
It's just it's and it helps. I think it's a very, very good, um I don't know what you'd call it, character builder or
Mhm.
personality growth, personal growth, when you
Yeah.
start reaching out to people and you realize, oh, you know, we're all we're all just doing the same
Yeah.
thing here. We're crocheting, we're loving it. It's community.
Oh, most definitely. You have that, and then also, I mean, if you do get a no, you can also always ask like, "Hey, what can I do to improve myself?" And then you can
Mhm.
get some constructive criticism,
Mhm.
which is not always I know that some people are not the most receptive of criticism. I will be that person. I'm not the best at it, but it's something that I've learned to overcome.
Mhm.
because I'm not perfect. I know that
Right.
I'm not perfect.
Right.
So there's going to always be room for improvement. If I was the final boss, what would I have to look forward to?
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what I like to do is, after after you've had your good share of tears about the criticism, then it's like,
Yes.
okay, it's time to pick things up and improve. And like my thing has always been, I I aim like I want to be around people that I want to be as good as someday, you know?
Yeah.
That's why I'm having this that's why I'm doing this interview series, because I was like, "You know what? I'm just gonna go for it. And I'm gonna ask all these awesome people that I wanna be like," So it I love all your bags and
That's awesome. I love all of your interviews and stuff. Like
Thank
I
you.
love your YouTube channel and I love whenever you go and do like whenever you do like your yarn hauls and everything. I love that. And I'm always like, "Oh, look at all that gorgeous yarn. That's the most amazing thing." Like it's like the videos that it makes me think of, whenever they start showing like toys and those kinds of things and
Mhm.
they're like, "Oh, look, you have this and this." And I'm like, "This is way better than that. I get to look at all this amazing squishy yarn."
Oh, that's what first attracted me to YouTube and yarn was it was back like 2017. I was on
Mhm.
Instagram to start out with, but it was like, okay, my mom said there's a couple of people, Bag a Day Crochet, um, Krista from the Secret Yarnery. You need to watch both these people. I started watching them and I had no idea people made yarn videos. You know, unboxings, yarn shopping. I
Mhm.
was like I had died and gone to heaven.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
it's so
love
much
yours.
fun. Thank you.
Of
Which reminds me,
course.
I need to go do some. I haven't been doing many lately just because I have so much yarn. I can't put myself in the position where I just go get more.
Oh my goodness. I can imagine it would get kind of like it would get hard after a while. Kind of like whenever you see like influencers and stuff and like they're doing their like third or fourth restyling of their guest bathroom or something in the last 3 months and you're like, "Where what do you do with all the extra stuff?"
Right. Or clothes. Like, what do you do with all these clothes? Oh my
Yeah.
God.
I
Imagine they have closets and closets and rooms full of that.
I guess I just kinda think of it like, I'm not a big I like clothes, I really
Yeah.
do, but because I work from home for my 40
Mhm.
hours a week, I don't have to actually dress up and go out
Yeah.
anywhere, so, like, my money more so goes into costumes and
Sure.
T-shirts. Now I love T-shirts,
I love that t-shirt.
thank you.
That
It's,
is really cool.
it's actually a shirt from Walmart, and then I ended up taking bleach to it, and I ended up spraying it and then, like, destroying it a little bit myself. So, it ended up being one of my favorite T-shirts.
It ends up looking like not a Walmart t-shirt.
Mhm,
So it already had the Rolling Stones thing on it, and then when you put the
mhm.
bleach on it, it just made it look so cool.
Yep.
Okay, I've
It
gotta do
was
that.
it was fun. I've definitely done that to a couple of my black T-shirts because again, black is more of the color that I wear for T-shirts and stuff just
Mhm.
because, if you dump ramen or something that stains very easily on them, you can get it out a lot easier, or at least you can
Coffee.
hide it.
Yeah,
So,
that's e exactly. No white t-shirts for me.
no, I never learned to eat like an adult, so no, no white T-shirts.
No, no, I didn't, and then when I was pregnant, I thought it was always great because I had this big belly right here,
Mhm.
and you could always put your plate on your belly or
Yes,
or your cup or yeah, that's great, but yeah, you gotta have not white t-shirts for that too.
I can imagine. Oh, that's funny. That's genius though, like, it's just like you have, like, an extra little stand that you can use.
Until the baby gets so big it starts kicking, and then it's like, stuff will literally fly off your plate if you've got a particularly strong baby.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah, my last baby my boys girls didn't have any problem with I have 3 girls, and the last 2 were boys, and the last one was 10.5 pounds. And so he had some room because he was the last one, because everybody else had kind of stretched out his room a little bit. And then he,
Oh my goodness.
yeah,
I can't imagine. Like, I just picture like that being like the first time they kick or anything too. So you're just sitting there trying to eat, and then all of a sudden just whack.
your chicken nugget goes flying.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh,
Yes, it's
not.
pretty funny.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. So, okay, this kind of goes back to like managing time and everything. How do you find the time to go back through and like engage with all the comments and to talk to people in the community and things like that? That's one of the balance things because I want to talk to
Yeah.
everybody, but if I do that, then I'll spend all my time doing that because I want to really talk to them, you
Oh,
know?
yeah.
But if I do that, then I'll spend all my time doing that. There won't be time for other things. How do you balance that?
So what I tend to do, I'll reply a little bit throughout the day. But I normally start going through whenever I get off of work. I normally
Mhm,
go through like my Instagram, my Facebook, and just check everything and then like respond to comments. But I'll normally do it then or whenever it takes me forever to go to sleep. So I
mhm,
normally lay in bed for like an hour, maybe 2 hours before I go to sleep. So I'll normally sit there and read like webtoons or manga or something, but I'll
mhm.
go through and I'll read all my comments, message people I need to. So I'll go through and do all that while I'm laying down and then wind down for the day. That's part of my winding down for the day.
Yeah, that seems like a really good strategy. I've got, I need to do more of it.
It's it's a balance because sometimes whenever I'm responding, I'll get really excited about something and then I'm like, well, all right, now it's going to be like 2 or 3 before I end up going to
I
sleep because now I'm
know.
excited.
Because right, because then the wheels start. Being a creative person, it's like you can't control when the wheel starts turning, and then you can't
Nope.
stop it because
Nope.
no, it's going to take you where it's going to take. Oh, that's another thing I wanted to ask you. Do you ever go to Comic Con?
So I used to all the time whenever I was in Tennessee.
Mhm,
There was a local one that I would go to. Um, I definitely went to it. They used to have a lot of different like smaller versions too of Comic Con, not just like fanboy Comic Con.
mhm.
But they had smaller ones too, and I got to be a booth girl for one of them, so I got to stand there in like a Sailor Saturn uniform.
Oh, fun.
So I got to do that. But yeah, I used to go to the Comic Cons and stuff. I did not get, Leonard Nimoy ended up being like called in like via Zoom on one of them. I missed that one, and it was the last Comic Con he ever did.
Oh, no.
So that
Oh,
one I
that
was really sad that I missed, especially later on. But
yeah.
I've definitely I got scared, but James Marsters was at one of them. So I saw him from a distance and
Oh,
like
wow.
swooned for a minute and couldn't
Right.
work up the courage to go and actually see him. Um, but one of them they did the Rocky Horror Picture Show. So they had Patricia Quinn and oh my goodness, I just
Oh,
completely blanked. The guy who plays Brad.
oh, yeah. What's his name? Wait a minute. The old school ones, like the ones with like the old
With
guy
Tim
now.
Curry.
Tim Curry.
I wish
I,
I could. Tim Curry wasn't there, but like the guy who plays Brad, I'm gonna I'm gonna smack myself later for this for not
isn't he Barbara
remembering.
Streisand's husband? No, no, that's James Brolin. That's not James Brolin. No, but I know. I can pick. I'm picturing him in my head. I know exactly. Why?
Right?
Yeah, but Brad always paled in comparison to Frankenfurter. I fell
Oh,
in
of
love
course.
with Frankenfurter. I was like, "Oh my gosh."
Yes, most definitely. But the two of them, Patricia Quinn, so she plays Magenta, and
Uh-huh.
then the guy who plays Brad, they go to a bunch of Comic Cons and stuff all the time. So I
Oh,
did get to meet them.
that's cool.
They were really nice.
Were they?
But I got to meet them at like they ended up having a showing of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and that was amazing.
Ugh,
At one of the cons that I went to.
fun. Did you ever go to the midnight show of Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I dragged my husband to his first one. Whenever we were first dating, I was like, "Hey, we need to go to see Rocky Horror," and um, I got him to dress up with me too.
Oh, what'd you dress up as?
We both dressed up in like floor show outfits.
Cool.
So yeah, he actually I very vividly remember that because he ended up breaking my heels.
Oh, no. Was he wearing them?
Yep, he was. He forgot one of the first rules of wearing heels is you do actually have to look at the ground to make sure that you're not going to step in a grate.
Oh.
And he definitely stepped in a grate and snapped the heel. And I was like, thanks,
Oh,
man.
no.
Appreciate it.
Well,
But
hope
no, my husband is all for like, he will totally go to Comic Cons or anything like that and dress up. Whenever we lived in Virginia, they did a special showing one year of The Nightmare Before Christmas around Halloween. So we both full blown dressed up like he let me put the makeup on him and everything so he'd look like Jack
wow.
Skellington, and I dressed up as Sally, and we went to the movies and watched it dressed up as Jack and Sally. So he's a
Oh,
great
wow.
sport.
Which you are great at doing the makeup. Your
Thank
makeup
you.
is always, where did you learn how to do that?
Um, YouTube videos.
Really? That
Just
is
if I need to figure out how to do something, just I'll normally YouTube it. My dad actually, he used to dress up for stuff all the time too. So if it's some like technical question, I can always
Mhm,
ask him. Um, I used to work in a salon for a while
mhm.
too, so I learned some things from them as far as, these are different things you can do to make everything last a little bit longer for whenever they did photo
Mhm.
shoots. But yeah, that just a whole lot of hodgepodging from everywhere and a lot of trial and error too.
Yeah, that's sure, that's so cool. My daughter was in theater, she went to theater school, and so she was
Mhm.
already, she practiced on me sometimes, and I think the scariest thing that she ever did to me was to glue my eyebrows down, do
Yeah.
the eyebrow glue, and made it look like I had no eyebrows. What is this, Veronica?
Yes. It's very odd. Um, oh, other thing, watching, this is gonna sound kind of funny, but a lot of makeup tips are in there. If you ever watch RuPaul's Drag Race, they have some great tips that they'll just randomly throw in there whenever they're getting ready for stuff. It works out great.
I okay, well, that's another reason maybe I should go watch.
It's really funny. It's a good time.
Funny. Okay, yeah, my daughters, all 3 of my daughters just love that show. I think, whenever that show was big, I think Walking Dead was big, and I was into the zombies and everything like that, so I was like, "I don't have time to watch that because 'cause I've got so much
Yeah,
zombie stuff going on."
it's it's really great if you do get a chance to watch it. It's really funny. I definitely laugh hysterically like the whole time.
Okay, well, that's good. Next time I need a good laugh, I'll be like, "Okay, time to watch that."
Oh, definitely.
Very, very fun. Okay, so here I'm going to ask you. We're coming to the end. I've got like, first, do you have any upcoming like collaborations or projects or anything that we need to know about?
Ooh, no collaborations or anything, but I am in the process of finishing the Halloween bag. That'll be coming. I also have to buy a suit for that because I'm not gonna dress up for everything else and then not dress up, as Michael Myers because that
Exactly.
that seems wrong. So um have that coming up. I'm working on a plaid style sweater.
Mhm.
Trying to do that non-tapestry style. So we're seeing how that'll go.
Oh, wow.
A lot of surface crochet.
Yeah. Oh, that's exciting. I can't wait to see that. I always love to see all your new stuff on Instagram.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Um, I do want to do I do want to make a ghost face sweater. I'm really trying to like work my head around making a ghost face sweater because I think that would be absolutely awesome. But it's a
Yeah.
matter of sitting down and plotting it.
Yeah. It takes time.
Yeah.
It's not just like, "Oh, yeah, here I'm gonna make this now." It no.
I've had people ask me about Stitch Fiddle and they're like, "Oh yeah, you just post a picture in here." I'm like, "Yeah, no."
No.
No, it's
No.
Canva's my best friend because I can normally take all the pictures and I can like resize them and I can retweak them or I can
Mhm.
change like the size of the picture too. So that
Mhm.
way it can upload in there a little bit better where it's not
Yeah.
Stitch Fiddle isn't like, here's your blanket size thing that you don't need it to be blanket sized.
Yeah. Yeah, oh my gosh, and Canva recently has come up with so many great new things, like the whole magic thing that came out this week.
That would yes. I got to play with that a little bit. I was like, that is
Mhm.
amazing. I was like, this is what I needed for some stuff. Cause you know, if you have something that's like if you have a logo on a shirt or something that you're
Mhm.
wearing and you just want off because it doesn't match whatever you're
Yeah.
doing, or just something little like that, it's so nice that you can have
Mhm.
something where you can just fix it real quick.
Yeah, just magic erase. Yeah, that picture that I posted earlier this week, with the little dress, it's like a little dress
Mhm.
dishcloth. There was like
Mhm.
a big ugly thing down on the bottom of the stove. It was like because it's not my stove. It was a stove that I got off Canva.
Love
But
it.
then I got that decal or whatever it was off of it. I was like, "Oh,
Love it.
this is
That's awesome.
this is wonderful."
Yeah.
I
It's
I
oh, I'm so glad that you also use Canva because Canva is like one of the best things ever, in my opinion.
you
It's
can
great.
you can change colors, you can take backgrounds out, you can make videos, you can make like anything. And it's like every day I cannot keep up on all the new stuff that Canva is introducing into their suite of tools. And
Oh, yeah.
I'm hoping they don't raise the price on the Pro.
Same, because I use it for here, I use it for work too.
Mhm,
Like my day job, I use it for
mhm,
that too, for making like different graphics and stuff. But it's the best thing for making like your little cover thing for reels,
mhm,
for making fun stories. I use it for making PDFs
mhm.
all the time for like you probably have this too. I occasionally have people with who run into problems whenever they're going to like download a pattern
Mhm,
and then ask about it. So
mhm.
I have like a tutorial thing that's like in my pictures of my like patterns of what you're getting. And it's a tutorial of this is what it is to go ahead and get it like all set up
Oh,
so you can download it real quick.
that's neat. That's yeah, yeah. Canva's just I don't know what I would do without Canva.
No, same. No idea.
Well, and it's so like there are so many great tutorials on YouTube on how to use it. Like I wouldn't know how to use it if I wouldn't have been watching the YouTube tutorials.
YouTube is like the best thing ever for tutorials on literally anything that you want to learn how to do.
Speaking of, do you have any YouTube tutorials?
I do. Mine are not super fancy because YouTube is I really like YouTube. It is the thing I am still very much so learning. So I am super
Mhm,
noob at YouTube, but I do have some YouTube tutorials on like how to actually do tapestry crochet, whether you're doing it single or half double,
mhm.
and then like how to make tassels.
Ooh, very cool. So everybody, you're gonna need to head over, learn tapestry crochet from Tori. And if you ever have any YouTube questions,
we'll
Yeah.
definitely reach out to you
Yeah.
because
Yeah, do
it's
that.
definitely like while I've been gone, it's something that I'm like, as soon as I get home, I'm like really gonna work on that. I would really like to
Mhm.
set up like doing some more YouTube tutorials and stuff, but
Oh, yeah.
that the main reason I have the ones I have is because it's the things that I do like all the time and like they incorporate most of my patterns. Like as long as you can do half double or single crochet tapestry and some tassels thrown on there,
Mhm.
that takes care of a lot of my patterns.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. It's good to have those basic things that you use, to have the tutorials for those. So whenever people ask, like, how do you do this? Oh, well, I've got a tutorial for that.
Hey, there's a thing for that.
Here you go.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So I think we're getting down to all the, like the serious questions. Now here's just a couple fun questions.
Okay.
Okay. If you were a yarn color, what would you be?
Black.
Of course.
I find it funny because I mean, anyone who crochets, knits, anything like that, everybody hates black yarn.
That's true because it's like I can't see the stitches. Where is my stitches?
I want to say black. Um, if I didn't pick black, it would probably be like a maroon color.
Yeah.
I really
Yeah.
like that color, but yeah, probably black.
But
Um, there's so many different shades of black you can get too, though.
I've got a wall of black yarn. I've got the rainbow of black.
It's
It's
the
so true.
it's the perfect complement. You don't want it as like the main thing, but it's the perfect complement to just about any project.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. I've got a lot of Halloween stuff that I'm doing right now, and I've been using more black yarn now than I have probably in forever. And it's been a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, and you're using it for complementary things, not the main color, right?
Exactly. Exactly. No way, man.
No.
Okay, so what's the most unusual thing you've ever crocheted? Like, this is weird. What do you have anything that you've made like that?
Hmm.
And it could have been a mistake, anything that just, well, that didn't quite turn out like I expected it to.
Uh, it's the millions of hats I've probably tried to crochet for my cat that didn't really turn out how I wanted them to. I've definitely I made him a little aviator hat before.
Oh,
I've tried more times than I can count to make him a witch hat, and it does not work out like any time that I've ever tried. But
oh my
I've definitely
goodness,
tried making my cat
cute,
some fun things.
cute. And I'm sure, you know what? you have pictures on Instagram, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, one of mine is super okay with getting his picture taken. He's like, "I'm gonna give you 30 seconds. You can take a picture, and then we're done." And then my other one is like, "Yeah, absolutely not. You can leave me alone, please and thank you."
It's not gonna happen. Yeah, there was one time one of my cats let me put a sweater on her, and after that, never again. I could not. I
Oh
You're like, no, this is never happening
no. Oh
again.
my goodness.
I know it was kind of cute picture though.
That's awesome. As long as you got a picture, that's the main thing.
Exactly. Take a picture; it'll last 1,000 years.
Exactly.
So, if you could crochet with any celebrity, who would you crochet with?
Woo. Like crochet celebrity or like celebrity
Just
celebrity?
celebrity, anybody in the world. Any That's a loaded question, huh?
Listen, if Patrick Stewart knew how to crochet and I could sit and crochet with Patrick Stewart while he read sonnets to me, that I could, yeah, that would be the ideal day.
That would be the best ever.
Like
You know,
I'm the weirdo. I mean, it's Captain Picard. That's my man crush every day. Don't care
genre,
that he's in his 80s. He's
it's
amazing, and I could listen to him read anything.
See, me and my celebrity would be Christopher Walken, and
Oh,
we could sit there in the same room, but
yes.
Christopher Walken would be knitting. I might have to knit if he's knitting, but we could sit there with you and Jean-Luc and just have the best time
That
ever.
would be amazing. That would that would be a hoot.
That would. Oh, they would talk about such cool things. We would just sit there and listen,
Oh,
probably.
yeah. Well, I'm definitely not gonna, like I won't say a word. I will just sit there and be like, "This is the greatest day ever."
Could you imagine them acting out some sort of crazy scenes from movies?
Oh my goodness,
Like,
that'd be great.
what if they did some like the John Travolta, Samuel L. Jackson scenes? Like, if they would act some of those,
Oh my goodness, that would be phenomenal.
that would be epic.
I need Christopher Walken to be sitting there, doing the whole skit with, like, "It needs more cowbell."
I know!
With Patrick Stewart just sitting there, like, being the producer or, like, one of the other people in there. That would be amazing.
That would be amazing. We need to
Great.
put this out there. We need to make some clips of this, put it out there, and maybe persuade them to actually do this. I think
Yes.
that would be great. We can make a campaign.
Yes. You guys need to do, like, crochet with me or knit with me, and then we can talk about more cowbell.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I think more people would want to start knitting and crocheting if that happened.
I definitely do. I fully agree.
Okay, well, you know what? On that note, I think that we should end everything on that note because I don't think it really gets any better than that.
I fully agree with you.
And but before we go, is there anything else we've got? I'm putting all of your links down below.
Mhm.
And is there anything final you would like to add or that you would like to say to the crochet community at large?
You know what? Always be authentically yourself. If you wanna do something that has never been done, you know what? That's what sets you apart. Always be your unique you. Don't let anybody try to conform you to some other box that's not what you're supposed to be in.
I love it. That's perfect.
And I
Well,
greatly appreciate you having me.
oh,
This has been amazing, actually.
awesome. Wonderful. I am so and thank you so much for coming. I was like, please, please. You were one of the people that I just like, if I ask, it doesn't hurt to ask.
Exactly. Doesn't hurt to ask, and I saw the slot that you had available, and I was like, "Well, that's mine. I'm
That
sorry. Nobody
oh
else
yeah,
can have that."
Friday the 13th, here we come.
Exactly. I was like, "Nope, I gotta have that. Nobody else can have that."
Yep, yep, perfect. Okay,
Awesome.
well, once again, thank you so much for coming. Hang on for just a second. I'm going to end the recording here. Say goodbye
Okay.
to bye everybody in the chat. And oh, also I wanted to say that on Friday the 13th, if you want to
Mhm,
come, I'm going to put this as a premiere. So if you want to
mhm.
come join in the chat, we can,
Yes.
we'll be playing, but we can also talk with everybody in the chat.
Ooh, yes, that sounds great. We should do
Okay,
that.
awesome.
That'd be awesome.
Okay, love you guys.